My name's Hannah and welcome to my TED Talk on democracy. Many people don't know what democracy is, what democracy means, or what the fundamental purposes of democracy are. The actual word democracy means rule by the people. You see, democracy is a system that permits citizens to play a significant role in the government, usually through the selection of key public officials. But what does this actually mean? Democracy is a system where the people run organizations, groups, and businesses. This liberates each member with their entitlement to vote and take part in decisions. There are two forms of democracy, direct and representative democracy, which is what we're going to discuss before we get into the fundamentals of democracy. Democracy is when people decide on policy initiatives directly. The most clear and distinct example of direct democracy was ancient Athens. The Athenians required all citizens to vote on major issues. However, women, slaves, and foreigners were excluded from voting. Whereas representative democracy, also known as indirect democracy, was founded on the principal belief of electing officials to represent a group of people. A perfect example of this is the United States, where we elect a president, members of Congress, and state and local officials. Now that we have a clear understanding, we can get into the fundamentals that I've interpreted on democracy start with the worth of the individual. We then move to the equality of all persons, majority rule, minority rights, the necessity of compromise, and lastly, the individual freedom. First of all, let's discuss the worth of the individual. Democracy is based on individual freedom, and each one of us is a separate and distinct being. We take into account not only the self-interest, but also the common good. Responsibilities in government start with the individuals. The democratic society forces people to serve the interests of many in that society by paying taxes, serving jury duty, and obeying traffic signs. The majority rule and the minority right principle refers to the fact that democracy isn't meant to come up with the best or perceived right solution, but rather is the search for the satisfactory solution to that of society's problem. This democratic concept is based on the process of experimentation to seek answers to society's questions. Necessity of compromise is based in public decisions taken from a give and take process. It is with compromise that we can find a certain position on policies that is more acceptable to the largest number. The last principle I wanted to speak on is individual freedom. Democracy can only thrive in an atmosphere of individual freedom, but democracy doesn't rely on complete freedom for the individual. If absolute freedom were to be obtained, we would be living in a state of anarchy where there is no existence of government. While it's hard to distinguish the right of one individual and the rights of another, this is a critical function in a democratic government. To conclude this TED Talk, I would like to leave with the words of John F. Kennedy. The rights of every man are diminished when the rights of one man are threatened. Thank you for listening to my TED Talk. I hope you learned something on the fundamentals of democracy.